Hans did say he would make Levi a grandmaster.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Hans is doing that for clickbait?
Yes.
That's not a good thing when then replies in one word.
I know, that's why I did that.
Yeah.
For effect. Yeah, you can't just make somebody a GM.
Just because you're
And it's sort of like a Trumpism. Trump says, I'll end the war in one day. You know, it's just like Hans just says nonsense. And, you know, it goes viral.
Speaking of Hans.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of Hans, he became a true bad boy of chess, something that chess needs. Isn't that like the drama we all been kind of waiting for?
It doesn't hurt my channel. One thing I try to explain to the internet people, if you can call them people, is a lot of chess players that are trash talking on the internet, we've known each other since before we were streaming and making YouTube videos. And people on the internet have trouble understanding that. They just know people from the internet. They don't know. Never met anybody. So, like, I've known Hans since he was like 11 or 12. And, you know, as a kid, he was, you know, I mean, you could see how he is now. He was even worse as a kid. So, I mean, I taught a chess camp in St. Louis where he was one of the participants. It was for strong 2,200, 2,300 kids who were young. And we had a meeting one day about whether we should kick him out of the camp or not. I'd never said this publicly, or maybe I have, so it'd be a scoop for you guys. But Matt Larson, my student, who's like, he's older than Hans, but he was actually at a chess camp with Hans when Hans was a kid, probably like 11 or 12. And he said they would show puzzles on the board, and Hans would have his phone under the table solving them. So and he said Hans did that like every puzzle. He would have to like be cheating, you know. So cheating's in his blood. But having said that, I don't think Hans cheated against Magnus Carlsen, and I doubt that Hans has ever cheated over the board. However, his cheating on the internet, I'm sure, is more widespread than he would admit. And chess.com agrees with that.
Well, that was the reason chess.com took Magnus' side in the conflict, where you actually defended Hans.
Right, because Hans cheated online, but Magnus was claiming that Hans cheated against him when they played in the Sinquefield Cup. I don't know anybody who thinks Hans cheated in the Sinquefield Cup, so it's hard for me to believe. Also, Hans was a last-minute replacement that tournament. He didn't have time to prepare that tournament. I don't know what Magnus thinks now. I think he just doesn't know. But he's suspected that Hans was cheating. Then Magnus's behavior was strange, like leaving the tournament. The tournament's got nothing to do with it. Why are you messing up the tournament because one guy cheated against you? Just complain to the arbiters and the organizers and then play the rest of the tournament. You're not going to play him anymore. So that was weird. And then, of course, a few months later, he was paired with Hans at an online tournament, and he forfeited on move 2 or move 1, whatever it was. So that was just strange behavior. But yeah, I don't think Magnus likes Hans.